Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. I want you to picture the scene. It's 1983. The waves of the Arabian Sea are just crashing against the Oka coast in Gujarat, India. A team of Indian archaeologists is out there on the water, geared up and ready to dive. As they plunge into the blue depths, sifting through layers of ancient sand and rock, they are about to witness something that is going to completely shake up our understanding of human history. Because what they find down there, it isn't just a random pile of rocks. It's a massive, clearly unnatural structure that immediately sparks a truly monumental question. As those divers swam deeper, they started seeing colossal stones and towering walls. Their breath quite literally caught in their throats. For centuries, ancient texts like the Mahabharata were largely dismissed by mainstream academics as just, mere myth. Beautiful stories for sure, but not actual concrete history. But the sheer, undeniable scale of these underwater ruins staring back at them demanded a real answer. Could this actually be the fabled sunken city of Lord Krishna? Well, to really understand the magnitude of what they stumbled upon, we have to rewind the clock. Which brings us to Section 1, the golden myth, creating a masterpiece. So, going back roughly 5,000 years, the scriptures tell us that Lord Krishna needed an absolutely impregnable sanctuary. He had to protect his people from the relentless attacks of a tyrant named Jatisandha. He needed a city unlike any other in existence. So what did he do? He turned to the ocean. The texts say he prayed to Varunadev, the sea god, who actually granted him a massive expanse of land. We're talking exactly 153.6 kilometers, or 12 yojanas, carved straight out of the ocean itself. Krishna then brought in the divine architect, Vishvakarma, to build the ultimate safe haven. And let me tell you, Dwarka wasn't just a basic fort. It was an absolute marvel of urban planning that would honestly give our modern metropolises a run for their money. We're talking about more than 900,000 magnificent palaces, adorned with gold, silver, and precious gems. It was surrounded by massive golden walls, which is actually how it got the name Dwarka, meaning the city of gates. But it wasn't all just showy luxury. It was incredibly functional. They had dedicated ports for advanced maritime trade and a highly sophisticated irrigation system to provide fresh water. Imagine trying to pull off that level of sustainable engineering today. It was a completely self-sufficient, golden utopia. But, as history and mythology both kind of teach us, where there's monumental creation, destruction is usually waiting in the wings.
Moving on to Section 2, Curses and Catastrophe, the Fall of the Yadu Dynasty.
So how does a divine, mathematically perfect city just vanish? Well, it happens through a devastating, chaotic chain reaction of curses and moral decay right after the brutal Mahabharata war. It's basically a domino effect of doom. Step 1. Queen Gandhari, who is just grieving her fallen sons, curses Krishna, declaring that his entire lineage will perish. Step 2. Krishna's son, Samba, pulls a foolish prank that ends up angering some visiting sages. They curse him to birth an iron mace that is destined to destroy his whole dynasty. The Yadavas panic, grind a mace up, and throw it into the sea, but the iron fragments are eventually found and sold to a hunter named Jara. Step 3. Pure arrogance and indulgence totally consume the city, triggering a massive, fatal civil war among the Yadavas themselves at Prabhastherta. And finally, step 4, that hunter, Jara, is out in the forest, mistakes Krishna's foot for a deer, and fatally shoots him with an arrow tipped by that exact cursed iron. And the texts say the moment Krishna departed the earth, the sea rose up, and the golden city of Dwarka sank right beneath the waves.
This takes us to Section 3, the underwater clues, searching for the truth.
Now, for centuries, scholars looked at that highly dramatic story and basically concluded it was just symbolic, a myth meant to teach morality, right? But then, in the 20th century, local fishermen and pilots started reporting these strange, unnaturally straight lines beneath the Arabian Sea. The myth was actually leaving physical clues. Following these whispers, the Archaeological Survey of India began digging around Bet Dwarka in 1963. Then, in the 1970s, a huge breakthrough. They discovered a 6th century copper plate explicitly stating that Lord Krishna resided in that exact area. This was a game changer. It was the first historical document directly linking the theology to the geography. That momentum sparked India's very first marine archaeological efforts in 1979, which led directly to the massive diving expeditions of 1983 and ultimately culminated in high-tech sonar scans by 2001.
Section 4. Dr. Rao's historic quest,
against all odds. To truly appreciate this incredible timeline, we absolutely have to talk about Dr. S.R. Rao. He was the guy who spearheaded that 1983 expedition. He had this unwavering conviction that if you cross-referenced the ancient texts with modern maps, the city had to be exactly where the myths said it was. But do you want to know his budget? 800 rupees. That is literally all the funding he had to start this massive underwater endeavor. He was fighting immense skepticism from academics who thought he was just chasing fairy tales. Dr. Rao actually had to use his own personal salary just to buy food for his diving crew. He relied on local fishermen, rusty old boats, and sheer stubborn willpower to map that ocean floor by hand. And wow, did his persistence pay off. Between 1983 and 1992, what his team pulled up from 30 meters below the surface was staggering. They didn't just find a few rocks. They found a massive 560-meter-long stone wall that was completely unnatural in its construction. They found over 30 large stone pillars and these highly advanced three-hole stone anchors, which essentially proved this was a sophisticated maritime port. When they carbon dated the artifacts and terracotta seals, they fell squarely into the 1500 to 3000 BC range. And get this, one piece of pottery dated back 9,000 years. That is older than the Harappan civilization itself. Dr. Rao proved without a shadow of a doubt that this wasn't a myth, it was a highly organized ancient civilization.
Moving to Section 5, Science Validates the Myth, the High-Tech Era. Fast forward a bit to 2001. The ASI teamed up with Ocean Technology Institutes, bringing in the heavy hitters. We're talking advanced sonar and sub-bottom profilers that digitally mapped over 4,000 square meters of the seabed. They found even more massive limestone blocks and meticulously planned drainage systems. But you might be wondering, how does science actually explain the sinking itself? Well, the myth claims the sea god immediately reclaimed the land the moment Krishna departed. But scientifically, oceanographers found something astonishing. When they studied 20,000 years of data in the Arabian Sea, they discovered that around 5000 BC, which is the exact timeline of the end of the Dwapara Yuga in the scriptures, there was a rapid, dramatic 25-meter rise in sea levels. This points to a massive tsunami or marine disaster that quickly swallowed that entire coastline.
And here is the kicker. This wasn't just some isolated local event. Geologists have found that around 5000 BC, the entire planet was experiencing massive marine disturbances. While the Arabian Sea was rising rapidly, similar severe tsunamis, major coastal shifting, and flooding were being recorded all the way in the Caribbean islands, in Indonesia, and down in South America. The sinking of Dwarka perfectly, almost eerily, aligns with a globally documented era of profound geological upheaval. So that ancient myth of the sea god taking back the city, it turns out it's actually an incredibly accurate, poetic record of a very real global climate catastrophe. Today, the historical validity of this site has reached the absolute highest levels of global recognition. In fact, in February of 2024, the Indian Prime Minister personally scuba dived down to the sunken ruins of Dwarka. He navigated right through those ancient stone pillars and walls, and he offered peacock feathers, which are, of course, a traditional symbol associated with Lord Krishna, directly to the seabed. It was a really powerful moment that underscored how this site has transitioned from a debated story in an ancient text to a concretely recognized piece of national and global heritage. Looking back over this 90-year journey, from local fishermen's tales to Dr. Rao's completely heroic 800-rupee expedition, all the way to modern digital sonar mapping, we've learned something absolutely vital. Faith and science are not opposite poles. They are just two paths leading to the exact same truth. The epic discovery of Dwarka teaches us that sometimes cultural memory passed down through millennia is really just history waiting for our technology to finally catch up. So I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on as we wrap up today's explainer. Just think about the sheer vastness of the oceans that cover our planet. If the Arabian Sea could completely swallow and hide a glittering, advanced metropolis like Dwarka for 5,000 long years, totally dismissing it to the realm of fairy tales until a few brave explorers decided to actually go look, what other forgotten empires, ancient technologies, and completely lost chapters of human history are still waiting out there in the deep, just begging to be discovered? Keep wondering, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.